Alright, this is an example from the textbook. I got it from page 386 in your textbook. It's problem number 23. You have one similar in your homework, and I just wanted to review how to approach this problem. It says a researcher studying public opinion of proposed Social Security changes obtains a simple random sample of 50 adult Americans and asks them whether or not they support the proposed changes. To say that the distribution of the sample proportion of adults who respond yes is approximately normal, how many more adult Americans does the researcher need to sample? So he's got 50, but 50 is not enough. And we know that n times p times 1 minus p has to be at least 10, which means the bare minimum n times p times 1 minus p needs to be 10. He needs to figure out the sample size that he needs. He's got 50, and we're trying to figure out how many he needs total so that he can have an approximately normal distribution. So what we're going to do for part A, it says he knows that 10% of all adult Americans support the changes. So he has the proportion, he just needs to know the sample size. And we know the bare minimum number it has to equal is 10. So with your calculator, you can plug in those values. And it just takes a little bit of algebra. There's my calculator. So 0.10 times 1 minus 0.10 gives us 0.09. So n times 0.09 equals 10. All we have to do is divide. So 10 divided by 0.09 is 111.1 repeating. Now when we're talking sample sizes, if we need a little over 111 people, we're actually going to need 112 people. So anytime you get a decimal, you always run up to the next person or object. You need a whole nother person to make that true. So he needs 112. He has 50, so if we subtract, he will need 62 more in order for his distribution to be normally distributed. So the answer they're looking for is how many more. He needs 112, he has 50, he needs 62 more. For part B, it's the same setup, except instead of knowing the 10%, he now has 20%. So we're going to do the same thing with 0.20, 1 minus 0.20. We know it has to at least be 10. So 0.20 times 1 minus 0.20 is 0.16. Divide both sides by 0.16. Just a little teeny tiny bit of algebra. So 10 divided by 0.16 is 62.5. That means we need 63. He has 50, so we need, sorry, I ran out of room, 13 more. So you're going to solve for n, get the total amount he needs, and then subtract however many he has to get how many more. And the question's asking for how many more. After you find that total, subtract by how much he has to get that how many more. Hopefully that'll help you with that question. You will not have one like that on the exam. It was just a different way of asking you to use these calculations.